Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, Jay, earlier today you were scrolling and you ran across an interview with Malik Scott from Fight Hype. And I got the opportunity to see a little bit of that interview as well and thought it was interesting. And I wanted you and I to get together very quickly and talk about it. So there were two aspects of this video that was interesting to me. Number one, as a part of this discussion, Malik Scott mentioned that he doesn't believe that Anthony Joshua actually wants to fight with Deontay Wilder. Now, we've heard on several occasions from Eddie Hearn, the CEO or president of Matchroom. I don't know if he's CEO or president. I don't know which title he has, but it's one of them. And he's been saying that both parties want this fight. It seems like the fight has been on the horizon for quite some time now. But every time, we get an update, it's always they want the fight. They want the fight. Saudi Arabia, they wanna put up the money for the fight, but we never hear a confirmation of the fight. And Malik Scott believes that that's partially because Anthony Joshua knows what's going to end up happening to him. So I want to discuss that particular topic. And then I also want to discuss the comments that he made in regards to Derrick James. But let's start with Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua. What's your thoughts on that?
I think there's some truth to it. I mean, we know what Wilder brings to the table. Wilder is relentless. He's going to fight till there's no breath, no more breath in his body, pretty much. We saw that with the Tyson Fury fight. I mean, he literally had to get beat into submission, and he still wanted to keep going even after that. It seemed like once he finally got up. So that's one thing I think AJ lacks, man. We saw AJ kind of lack that in the Ruiz fight. The first one, he got stopped and he got up and he was just like he really was ready. He just threw the towel in, and he gets like, "Why y'all stopping the fight? You didn't show that ref that you want to continue, dude." And then against Usyk, after the second fight, he fought better than the first one, but he still got dominated for the most part. And he's like, "Did I not do better? You lost." That's like, to me, that's like a loser mindset where you're like, "Well, I did better than last time, but I didn't get knocked out or anything." Like, no, you still lost. You shouldn't be satisfied, especially as a competitor in that type of sport. So I mean, I see it in Malik was talking about how AJ is really not campaigning for the fight, which leads him to believe that AJ really don't want the fight. Like you said, they've talked so many times on AJ's side. Eddie was like, "Well, we got the fight set up. It's gonna be a big production in December in Saudi Arabia. We're gonna have all four heavyweights fighting: Tyson versus Usyk, AJ versus Wilder, and then the winner of each first thing next year." None of that shit came into fruition. Hell, Tyson's fighting someone from another sport. I mean, I don't know. I don't think AJ really wants at this point. I think after AJ suffered that first loss to Andy Ruiz, I think it kind of put him back into reality. Like, whoa, I got dropped by this dude here, and I see what Wilder's doing. Regardless of what you say about Wilder's resume and who he's fought, that right hand ain't nothing to mess with, no matter who he's hitting. So I mean, he's gonna drop damn near everyone with that right hand. And AJ knows, like, wow, this dude here, and the anger in which Wilder fights you with too as well. I don't think AJ is ready for that, man. I think it'll be a hell of a fight. I think it'll be a fight that'll sell a lot. But I think Malik Scott is right as far as AJ is not really campaigning for this fight. He's just chilling. Plus the way we seen AJ look in his last two fights, although he just started with Derrick James, it wasn't anything to make us think like, okay, this is a whole different AJ. He's going to give Deontay Wilder hell. He's probably going to knock Deontay Wilder out. He's going to beat him by UD. Those two fights didn't show me anything else, because one thing you can't give a fighter is heart and determination. That I don't know how much heart AJ truly has into the fight game like this. It's like, if it gets tough, he's like, well, I did my best right now. No need pushing further. One time he did that was against a 95-year-old Klitschko. And I give him all the credit in the world for that. But again, Klitschko was 107 years old in that fight. So this new AJ right now, I don't know. I just saw AJ chilling with David Beckham and kicking soccer goals. So, I mean, it's cool for him to do stuff on the side and get his money, but I don't think he really wants to fight like Malik Scott says. I think it's just smoke and mirrors. Like Malik Scott also said that he thinks they're just using Wilder's name just to tie it in, to try to get more eyeballs on them and utilize that for something else possibly. So I wouldn't doubt that.
Yeah. So when I think about the age of all of these heavyweights, Anthony Joshua's 33, Fury's 35, Wilder's 37. The sand in the hourglass is running out for big fights between those three individuals. So it would not surprise me if Anthony Joshua is interested in this fight, because the two biggest paydays that he's going to get going out is going to be against Wilder and Tyson Fury. Now, Fury won't be available for a while, so your next best option is Wilder. And I do believe that Anthony Joshua believes in Derrick James, and that is a good segue to the next topic. But I believe that there is some interest from Anthony Joshua's side to make that fight, because that's going to be his biggest payday. Now, to your point, will he be victorious in a fight like that because of some of the limitations, let's say, we've seen in the past? Maybe. But I do believe that there is some level of interest there from Anthony Joshua's side. So, segueing into what he had to say, he being Malik Scott, what he had to say in regards to Derrick James. That was pretty interesting. So, Derrick James has gotten a lot of slack here over the last several months. And it's not surprising, the comments coming from a Malik Scott, considering they have the same background, right? They are both trainers, right, who were formerly fighters. And he mentioned that essentially Derrick James fighters, we're talking about Jermell Charlo, we're talking about Errol Spence, that they both lost to the two best fighters in those divisions and two pound for pound top 5 fighters. And so now with those two losses, all of a sudden everybody's saying that Derrick James needs to be fired. And he thinks that that is completely unfair. I think the argument is a little bit more nuanced, Jay, in my personal opinion. I will say that Derrick James does not deserve to be fired, because I agree with Malik Scott that at the end of the day, he fought two of the best fighters in and around the weight class and two top 5 pound for pound fighters. However, when you see a performance that is so poor, and that being Errol Spence's performance, and even Jermell Charlo's performance, even though he wasn't beaten as badly or as soundly, is because he didn't open up and fight. Now, I would say I don't really fault Derrick James for the Jermell Charlo performance, just because Mel was just unwilling to fight. But when you lose as poorly as Errol Spence did, everybody a part of that team has to bear the blame, right? Including Derrick James, right? Something didn't go right in camp with that performance. But fire, I don't think. Yeah, I think he's getting way too much blame and criticism as in regards to how his fighters perform, considering who they were in the ring with. But that Spence performance, he got to take some of that blame. Jay, what's your thoughts on that?
No, he definitely got to take some of the blame on that. Even he got to take some of the blame with as far as Frank Martin fight. Frank won his fight, but he didn't look spectacular. He looked questionable on that. And the fact that the common denominator in all three of those fighters is Derrick James. Also, the common denominator in all those is all three fighters were not listening to Derrick James at all. You heard Derrick James giving them instructions. Some of it was really good instruction, and he was pleading with his fighters to do certain things, and none of them reacted and responded to him in the appropriate way. So is that all on Derrick James? I'm not going to say that's all on him, but yeah, he definitely has to take some of that, because you got to figure out a way to get your fighter to respond to you. If they're not responding to you, then you got to figure out how to get them to respond to you, or get someone else in their ear to make them respond. And it didn't happen in through all three of those fights. You can see it. None of those fighters were listening. There's 3 different type of fighters, 3 different style of fighters, 3 different mentality for fighters. And none of them really listened to Derrick James. So I think DJ also need to reevaluate everything and say, like, hey, I don't know what I got to do to get in these guys' ear to really like that fire in them. Maybe I got to bring another voice in to help me out. Maybe I'm stretched too thin, because even AJ didn't look the best. We'll see what Ryan looks like in his fight upcoming, whether it's I think it's in December when Ryan fights. So we'll see. But DJ is not exempt from the blame, but he doesn't deserve all of it. And it's not a fireable offense, in my opinion, on that. Because he can't make the fighters throw the punches. He can't make the fighters duck, dodge, feint, and all that. he can only instruct them, but he does have to figure out how to get them to do the things that's needed to be done in the ring. I don't think it's preparation, because he's saying stuff for them to do. So I wouldn't think that he'll be telling them to do something that they didn't prep for. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense to me at that point. Like some people say, well, he didn't prep them. I'm like, he's telling them what to do, the right thing, and they're just not doing it. So there's a failure somewhere to communicate or understand. Even Frank just felt like he just understanding, or just couldn't let it go when he's supposed to. So, but there's definitely needs to be some upgrades and some modifications in that training camp for Derrick.
You guys tell us what you think in the comment section in regards to the comments of Malik Scott. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, AM Sports Media, and we are out.